Good morning, all of you. Welcome to all the dignitaries and past participants. I, CA Bhavi Thakkar, on behalf of the Professional Skills Enrichment Committee, ICAI, welcome all the participants in today's webcast, Leading with Service, Empowering Teams and Navigating Cross Functional Challenges. I welcome the today's resource person, CA Gaurav Goyalji. Welcome, sir, and all other present over here. Today we have with us on the webcast Gaurav sir, who is a leading chartered accountant and accomplished audit and risk management professional with more than a decade of experience in internal audits, internal controls, and compliance functions across the consulting, telecom, and medtech industries. He has worked with the leading organizations such as KPMG, Nokia, Stryker, when he has led the global audit engagements and management of multi regional teams, strengthening governance, progress efficiency, and control frameworks. Gaurav Ji is also an auditor of the Amazon bestseller Digging the Well, your path to the success of internal audit, a practical guide widely appreciated by the financials and audit professionals for its real world insights and structured approach. He is passionate about developing the next generation of auditors and enabling professionals to build meaningful, value driven networks. Today, we have with us a versatile speaker who would guide us on a very important and challenging topic of leading with service, empowering teams, and navigating cross functional challenges. I welcome you, sir, for today's webcast. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And Merry Christmas to you and to all the participants. Uh, really glad to be joining here and deliberating on this topic. I'll share my screen, and ma'am, if you could please confirm if once the screen is visible.
Yes, sir. Now your screen is visible.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Hello, everyone. So, Merry Christmas to all of you. Today, we are going to cover a topic leading with service, empowering teams, and navigating cross functional challenges. Um, so, when you hear about this topic, maybe let me set the expectations straight. Let me just talk about this topic before we deep dive into that. What does it mean? So there's a term, there's a authoritarian leadership style, then there is a servant leadership style. So when I heard it for the first time, typically servant word in itself doesn't carry a very bright or good connotation to it. And then when you think about servant, then we generally talk about house helps and then whatnot. But then I think this change started coming in, and we started to look at this word in a slightly different frame of mind when our honorable prime minister, um, uh, Mr. Manmohan Singh, Mr. Narendra Modi ji, when he came into power, he said that I am not the prime minister, but rather मैं प्रधान सेवक हूँ, which translates into um, prime servant of the nation, of the people of the country. Similarly, because he is leading the country, he considers himself as a servant for the country, and he is there to serve. So servant is basically person who is serving others, and that essentially is the core job of the leader, right? So which is why servant leadership or leading with service becomes critical. Now, I do have an understanding that the people who are there on the podcast, majority of you have your own practice, wherein you are, anyways, leading a team of people, uh, and then fellow professionals as well, and then some of you might be working into jobs as well. So we'll try and cover both the perspective, but the intent behind this topic is to get a mindset shift. And also, before we talk about how to get the shift, we'll also maybe go through that why is it relevant in the first place. I mean, it's good to hear that servant leadership style is something which is in the trend, and we should be empowering teams. But then also it makes sense that we talk a bit about why it matters and why it is the best way to lead or to be a leader. You could be a manager, so there are different styles or different ways in which you would manage a team, but then leading them, a leader's job is not just to get the task done. Leader's job is to inspire, is to build next generation of leaders as well, and to empower people so that they can perform and go beyond what their initial capabilities are. So leader is essentially enabling and empowering others, and leader has followers, people who get inspired, get motivated by looking at the leader. And if you are motivating something or if you are managing something, then you can just get that particular task done. But if you are leading them, then you are essentially empowering people so that they can think of their own and then contribute to the organization or to any cause in a much uh, bigger and broader way, and then the impact would be much higher. So let me change the screen. So this is going to be today's agenda. We'll talking about modern leadership challenges in matrix organizations. If you're working in today's setup, so there's a functional hierarchy. Typically, let's say majority of us are working into finance. So if you are doing a job, then there's a functional hierarchy, and then there's another reporting chain. So organization is matrix. You would have a direct report, and then you're reporting directly, and then there are dotted line reportings to multiple other people. Then what all are the problems with traditional leadership approach? Reframing service in leadership. What does it mean? What does essentially service mean when we talk about leadership? What are the benefits of service based leadership? And once we have done the groundwork of why is it needed, then we'll move on to service leadership framework. So I've tried to capture entire session into this acronym called service, wherein we'll be better understanding what this framework is and how we can use this framework by using this service word as an acronym. We'll be discussing a few tools and practical applications for service based leadership, self assessment, and your integration of service leadership in your current leadership or management style, and then final insights on service leadership. Before we move on, here's a bit about me. So I am a chartered accountant by qualification. Also, I've done CIA, certified internal auditor. I have around 10 years of experience in governance, risk, and compliance. And then I've also written a book called Digging the Your Path to Success in Internal Audit. So if somebody is interested in the practice of internal audit, or is wants to pursue this as a career, uh, or if you want to understand processes better, so at a high level for a beginner or for a fresher from 2 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, and even for new age topics, if seasoned professional wants to have a look, this book has been really appreciated by multiple people because of how it is structured, and it is more like a storytelling format rather than some dictation or an authoritarian textbook on how things should be done. So it has a slightly different take. You'll get to read about uh, the kind of story that I want to share, how my initial years were, what I learned. So it reads a bit like a novel in the beginning. Okay. Modern leadership challenges in matrix organization. So here, the organization structure these days are complex. They have matrix and they demand flexible leadership. Now, if you are thinking, even from an employee perspective, even when you have your own firm, you look at it, its reporting is not always one to one. One person might be working with multiple people, and then you might or might not have direct control over every resource, but would have to get the work done through them. Similarly, even with the clients that you are interacting with, think from that perspective also, because we would also need to manage clients, and then in some sense need to, let's say, if you are managing accounting and auditing um, for a client, they are essentially the person who is into finance is in some sense reporting to you as well, if you are ultimately responsible for their books. So the but their salary is getting paid by the owner of of the client organization. So think of it from that perspective, wherein wherever I say talk about matrix organization to make it more relevant for you. So they have organizations have matrix. Complex structures are demanding flexible leadership. Now you cannot be very ruthless into execution, saying this is what I need and this has to be done. Now people expect that you explain them why you want this, why a certain timeline is given. You need to be open to listen to their feedback, to their inputs. Even in our families, if you see, right, there's a change. I mean, 20 years back in the prior generation, how things used to work, there used to be, let's say, father or grandfather, no, father's elder brother, somebody who is, well, let's say, head of the family, and they do things. Everyone is following what they are saying, and it was very direct and then no questions asked, sort of leadership or management style. But then today, everyone, even in families or in organization, wants to have a say. They want to feel heard, because they associate it with being, uh, feeling valued. So the generations have changed, how people work, what their basic expectations are, that has changed. So the rigid structures, I mean, they collapse if you keep it rigid. You'll have to be flexible, in this turmoil or earthquake of changing generations and expectations. With Gen Z, you cannot just tell them to do something or follow something unless they believe in it. They won't be doing it. So explaining them why you have taken a decision, including them in the process, is a sort of expectation which, earlier was an option but now has become more of a norm. And without it, it's very difficult to manage. And if you want to scale, if you want to grow, um, that is the way we can create successful organization. The authority is fragmented, it is distributed across multiple leaders. um, then there are expectations for accountability. The expectation from the leader is to get the job done. Now it doesn't matter that the resources that they have, whether they had direct authority over the resources or not. Another relevant example for all of you, from practice perspective, let's say, you are operating with a network of firms. Then for a particular job, if you've taken additional resources, you would not be having direct authority over them. But then, since you've taken up that job, you've taken up that assignment, the accountability lies with you. So it is important that we figure out a way to be able to deliver results, um, irrespective of the fact whether you have direct authority over those people or not. Now, as a leader, what you should think about is how how should you be leading. Um, should it be, I mean, what is the best way? So here are some food for thought for, I mean, when you'll be self introspecting. So leaders guide others by influencing decisions without direct authority over outcome. A true leader is not essentially saying that do this or do that. They are influencing people. um, One good example which comes to my mind is, a past prime minister of India, uh, Mr. Lal Bahadur Shastri ji. So when he saw that our country is lacking food grains, and we have a shortage of it, it was before Green Revolution. So he himself proposed that as a nation, maybe mm, one day in a week we should observe fast so that grains could be saved. We should avoid wastage of food so that the entire nation can eat and we won't have to import it from the outside. So then he himself was not just preaching, he was also walking the talk. He himself was fasting for once a week, and then he influenced others to follow his path. So that is how a leader creates a following. And because of actions like this, he and many other leaders are able to create these legacy and these stories which people tell time and again. Then there should be clear communication which build trust and alignment even when outcomes are shared or uncertain. Now, if there is a prior communication and there is a prior alignment, it will definitely lead to a higher level of trust and alignment. If there is a change, so change management is something. So what is the most important pillar for change management? It is communication. And if there's a choice to under communicate or over communicate, then always opt for over communicate. The more you tell, the more sort of buy-in you are getting from the people who will be impacted by those changes. So it is very essential that you communicate, and it is helping you build the trust with the team and get an alignment. Also, communication, when we say communication, it is not one way. Communication cannot be one way, it has to be two way. So when you are communicating as a leader, your responsibility is not just to speak or to think about what to speak. That is, let's say, only 20% part of the job. 80% part is listening to the feedback that you're getting back from the team, also deliberating and introspecting about that feedback, that how much it makes sense, and then taking course correction and making changes in the plan, so that it does two things. One, you are getting an honest feedback, and when you are implementing that feedback, you are you are essentially improving the process. Sorry, I had a very nice lunch just before this, so hence. But yeah, we were talking about communication. So once you are effectively communicating, you are building trust with the team, and when they are giving feedback and you listen to it, because there's two-way communication, it is giving you opportunity to improve and then to get better adoption. So the probability of adoption and success of that change management increases multifold. So some people, what they do when they hear about communication, they just start rolling out and then speaking that this is what should be done, this is what we are going to do, these are the benefits, this that, but they are not communicating. They are just speaking or sending out information, but they are not getting the feedback. And some people just receive feedback for the sake of it. You just share my feedback and I'll throw it at the back. So that is not the purpose. Communication is complete only when you are actually receiving that feedback and you are introspecting and making taking actions to do the course correction. Fostering collaboration. So leaders encourage collaboration to achieve shared goals without owning all results directly. Now, if there is any leader, any manager, um, even we all have done CA articleship. So even you had a principal or a senior, if that person was the one who is always there to take all the credit, then you would not want to do something extra or something beyond, and maybe not even what is essential, because at the end of the day, whatever work you are doing, somebody else is getting the credit. But if the overall approach, in a nutshell, the organization suffers, right? Because what could have been delivered was not delivered, because the person who is working is afraid that whatever he'll do, credit will go to somebody else. And now, if there's a environment, there's an environment of collaboration. So then the success is shared, goals are shared. You are not owning the results, you are showcasing the team, and then it inspires them further, motivates them further to work even harder. So your job as a leader is, I mean, single most important job is to work on the people, make them feel comfortable, make them feel appreciated, and encourage the collaboration between the teams. Now, because we were talking about taking credit and things like that, there is a saying in management that you should always give critical feedback in private and you should praise in public. And at the same time, whatever feedback, if the team fails, then all the responsibility and accountability has to lie with the leader. And if the team succeed, then the credits has to go to the team. If the leader who does that, if somebody does that, then the kind of respect that they gain from the team, from their followers, and the kind of work that team does, it is uncomparable. I mean, it exceeds whatever was the basic expectation from a set of group or from a set of individuals. Um, Very common mistake or other theme that I have seen is generally what leaders do is they go into this know it all mode. So what they do is they will maybe hear about something or they've learned something, and then they make it applicable for everyone, no questions asked, and then they think that it is good for the team. They're not open to the feedback, and they get this ego that they are the ones because of whom the team, their employees, they are surviving, they are thriving, they are earning. You are responsible for their livelihood. So you end up making yourself hero of lives, and some people get into this false belief that because of them so many households are running, and then this god complex starts to enter into their mind, right? That I am the owner, and these are the servants. But that essentially is hurting you, or the leader of the organization, more than the employees, because today uh, people are so self-aware that they will not waste their mental peace, and they will not um, um, typically they would not want to compromise their personal life for the sake of the organization. So now mental well-being, physical well-being, work-life balance, these are the talk of the town, right? To work with this set of people who are aware of their rights, who are demanding better environment, then you would not be able to attract quality talent if you are still living with that mindset. If you have a learning mindset that I am learning something, I am growing, there's a chance of error, there's room for improvement, and there are chances that I might also be wrong. And because I am such a person, I'm allowing others, and I'm being vulnerable at times to share that this is how I am. That kind of leader is essentially demonstrating that, I mean, this is what my personal view are is there are many people who have might have taken a different stance, a lot more authoritarian, not speaking too much with the employees, and having that god complex and whatnot. They've also succeeded, but then if you want to, I mean, there's one concept of personal growth or personal success, monetary and professionally. That is one aspect. But if you want to grow as an organization, if you think that okay, I am a leader of an organization and I want this organization to grow, if you just want to build a practice wherein only you are there or two three close friends or relatives are there and you've created a firm, you've hired two three employees, two three articles and running a firm, then your existing style might be okay, that might just work. But if you like, we as a country have have an ambition that we should also have firms which are of the scale of let's say big four, right? Or a big five. India should also have this big accounting firms. So if you want to create that kind of organization, if you want to have a fantastic advisory practice, consulting practice, a bigger practice wherein there's a team of 50, 100, 200 individuals or even millions of individuals. Now, for that, you need a shift in mindset. Then you cannot be a know it all, God complex person. This might sound a bit harsh to some of you in the audience, but this is a mindset shift that you would need to bring into your day-to-day working, to be able to achieve that. If you are satisfied with what you have, you might just do fine with your current scheme of things. So you need to foster collaboration. You need to give people the space, and you need to tell the leaders, tell the managers that your only job is to make sure that whomsoever is working under you, they shine, they learn, they grow. So your job is to prepare them so that they tomorrow can become the leaders. You know why? There's a company called PayPal, and all the people who were the founding members of PayPal, they are called PayPal Mafia because they are the ones who are essentially running the entire Silicon Valley in the US. They are the ones wherein great minds came together, there was collaboration, they learned together, and the leader at that time, who founded PayPal, he created the atmosphere, he created leaders for the future, which who all later on became leaders of massive organizations. So Peter Thiel was part of PayPal, Elon Musk was part of PayPal, multiple others who were part of PayPal and have uh, um, even hundreds and thousands and lakhs of people working for their organization. So that is the kind of organization you should strive to create. And if you want to do that, then you would have to move towards servant leadership. Why command and control limitation and this kind of things fail in cross-functional environment, and even I would say not just cross-functional, even in today's day and age, and how things are set up. Why traditional control and command structure they fail to adapt to this cross-functional teams? It leads to inefficiency. um, if there are increased escalation, then it reduces trust among team members and the execution slows down significantly. If you have not given your team the liberty to make mistakes, to learn from the mistakes, right? If you go hard on them the moment they do minute of the mistake, and there are very rigid processes, and there's only one way communication, then you are essentially slowing down execution in your organization. Now everybody will be afraid and they would take um, more time and efforts than what is needed to do any job, just from the fear because things might go wrong. Now nobody wants to do something which is wrong, right? Because they have fear, and in that environment, the execution is suffering, the organization is suffering because you're not able to get the outcomes that you desire. Now people build a lot of processes on top of it. um, you know uh, there was a time when people used to punch in that okay, I have came into office, then punch out their time, and accordingly their attendance used to get calculate. It still does in the same fashion, but then there are professionals who simply cannot function in that kind of setup. If you ask me today, can I work in an organization wherein I will have to be inside the office for 9 hours minimum, 5 to 6 days a week? Then only I will get my salary. Even if if they'll pay me double the salary of what I'm earning today, I will not work in that organization because there is no trust, right? It's not about how things are getting done. And factually, if you look at things, any desk professional who is working on his desk, uh, the focus time when they are actually working does not exceed 3 to 4 hours. Rest of the time goes for coffee badging, discussion, taking breaks, speaking with friends, making friends in the office. But that focus work, work, gets done within the framework of 3 to 4 hours, 5 hours at max. So, what is the point of restricting people in the office for 9 hours as they will get uh, pay cut? So, so this is how people have started to think today. So, if you want to attract the best of talents, then you will have to do away from the current scheme of things on how things used to run, and you need to build trust. You will have to give them room for error. Then leaders themselves become bottlenecks at times. They act as firefighter or shock absorbers, causing leadership fatigue. Now leaders, they do not l- at times have an understanding of how to create processes and structures so that things can go on autopilot mode. They can review. Now either they would want to do everything themselves, or what they would want, there is very low trust in the team, so whatever work will get done, they will also spend significant time in getting it corrected, and they are not building leaders for the future, so the quality also never improves. Because if I as an employee think that no matter how good I will do, I will firstly get scolded, and secondly, whatever I've written will change in its entirety, so there's no point in putting in the efforts and delivering quality work in the first place. So if your employees start to think in this manner, then you would always be swamped with work, and it will cause fatigue, right? And what looks like hassle or looks like effort in the first place, if I get a team member and I would have to spend some time in training them and guiding them, it would look like an hassle, right? We think that the amount of time that I will spend on explaining how to do a particular task to a person, in half the time I would be able to get that work done myself. So why not do it yourself? Sorry. Now, uh, once this mindset sets in, you cannot scale because now you are in the habit to do everything on your own. So you do not trust others. You are also not developing others who can actually start taking work at a later stage. Self-created fatigue. Most leadership fatigue arises from self-created pressures within traditional management approaches. Now I am amazed at times with just observe yourself, and just be mindful of how you are working sometimes, just try and observe yourself. At times you will feel that whatever stress and pressure you are feeling, that is essentially in your mind. I mean, we set certain timelines, right? Then we work as per those timelines. At times what happens, either of two scenarios are there. Either those timelines are so stringent, then that the moment you start thinking about it, it creates stress. Or what we do is we keep on deferring the task till the time it becomes due. I mean, it is no wonder that we as a community almost always ask for extension in due dates, for be it for income tax or for GST returns, and we say, oh, system was down on 31st or 30th, so we were not able to do our job. Now we need an extension. It couldn't be done. But believe you me, if we would have planned it differently, I'm not saying it will still go to the last date, but a majority of the work could have been done earlier as well, right? So there are lean periods, but then our planning is always towards the last minute. So this is the kind of fatigue we create, and then there are trust issues. We don't trust the kind of work others are doing, so that is not helping you because you are also getting tired. That is not helping the team, and as an organization also you are not able to grow at a pace at which you are supposed to grow. Now, what are the misconceptions about service? Because people think, oh, servant leadership means being weak and you're just being nice or doing others' work. So people would come to you for their task, and if somebody is just lazy, don't want to do anything, so they'll bring their work to you, and then you'll have to do their work as well. But uh, true meaning of service is your job as a leader is to clear the obstacles, provide the clarity to the team that what is the objective, what is the outcome that you are striving, design ownership, that who is responsible for what, and then how you are enabling them so that they can actually achieve the results, and you will get effective outcomes if you act as a servant leader. What are the benefits of service based leadership? Why should we do it? So a servant leader is basically able to avoid surprise escalation and political blindsides. Now, if you are the kind of leader who is loved by all, who is respected by all, right? You have a very strong backing because people get inspired by the kind of work you are doing, how you treat them. Um, then there would be a lot less surprises in your day, right? If you might have heard about other celebrities talking about Shah Rukh Khan or Amitabh Bachchan, they would almost always mention that how good they are, both of them are, with people when they meet them one to one, and that is something that they carry with themselves, and they become um, ambassadors promoting Shah Rukh and Amitabh Bachchan, saying that they are the nicest people that we've met or I've met. So that kind of aura and influence when you create, then your risk reduces significantly. Execution speed. So leaders who reduce risk can improve the speed of decision making and execution. You are saying to your team that it is okay to make mistakes. Learn from those mistakes. Make sure you don't do it again. Make sure you don't do the same mistake again. It is okay to make a new mistake and then execute. Now, the team feels empowered. They do things at a much faster pace, and they are also motivated to contribute towards the organization. Building influence without authority. Now, some people feel that I will gain influence only when I become, let's say, a manager or a partner. Then only I will gain the influence, right? If I'll get a position, I'll gain influence. People feel that. But it could be built without authority as well. Now, let's say you are a subject matter expert on a new topic. Now, these days, let's say AI is the thing. So now, if you have the capability to create very clear communication, or maybe let's say reply to tax authorities notice, and you can leverage AI very well to be able to get the job done, or you can create. very beautiful looking and meaningful dashboards, Power BI dashboards. Now you have a certain skill set, and that is a new age skill which a lot of people are not having, or you have ideas in which you are leveraging uh, AI and tools like that. Now you are essentially building influence without authority. So people, even though you don't have authority, people will be influenced and they will respect what you are saying, right? And when you are reducing the risk, you are giving people the room to be wrong, then you are building your influence by gaining their trust. So it's not just that that somebody is my senior and hence I trust them or respect them. I might be trusting or respecting them because they give me the space to be myself and to experiment and to um, continue to learn and do new things. Creating predictable outcome. Effective risk reduction leads to predictable and reliable outcome in leadership. So once you reduce the risk to a significant level through your leadership style, through servant leadership, then you can expect predictable and reliable outcomes. Now, if you had a boss who, let's say, the moment it is 5 p.m. or 6 p.m., they text you, or think it from the other perspective also. If as a leader you do that, what people think about you. Now, if that kind of situation is there, then nobody would want to um, work, and things might not get done in the time that you have committed. Now, if you want, or rather on the second end, if the other leader is such that he's compassionate, empathetic, try to understand the problem, help you, and provide solution for the problem, for such kind of leader, the followers and team members will also go out or go the extra mile and deliver better results, right? So that is basically reducing your risk and ensuring that you get reliable and predictable outcomes. Leadership without micromanagement. Just allow me a minute. I'll just have some water and I'll I'll be back in 3 minutes and then we'll resume from here. Take a break for 3 minutes. Okay, we'll resume. Execution without micromanagement. Uh, Alignment over follow-ups. So essentially, what leaders do, we were talking about it earlier also. They simply want, they take a lot of ownership, and which causes fatigue. If you recall from what we were discussing earlier, now those leaders uh, keep on constantly following up with the team, that what is the stage, how much work is done, and in order to give a response to that follow up, the team starts working on preparing a status update, and they're not able to basically work. Now, a more efficient way to do thing would be to have a prior alignment, that okay, this is the entire task, let me break it into 4 steps or 3 steps or 10 steps, whatever is needed, and these are the timelines by when we are planning to get it done. This is the uh, check-in or a status update. So let's say it's a 3 month long project. Now every week we will have a status update, and this is the task that we've broken into 6 tasks of 15 days each, and this is how we want to get things done. And let's meet every week, do course correction, and then continue and build on the work. So if there is that sort of alignment, it is easier for everyone to work in that setup and that environment. And you will be able to get a detailed review done. Then you will be able to provide feedback to the team, and team would also be in a space that they will feel that there's not always someone breathing behind their neck and uh, poking nose in their work. So they'll be able to work in a more relaxed environment. Clarity over rework. Another common trend which we see in professional environment is rework. The senior would give some work, then they would ask the employee to do it again, share 10 different errors, or say it doesn't look nice, make it different, make it look nice, or this doesn't read like it should. On the other hand, if you would have provided clarity on how to do it, what is the expectation, then maybe it would save time, save rework, and cause less frustration for the team, right? And they would be able to deliver better. Now, some people, and it is also okay to say that I also don't have 100% idea that how it should look like at the moment. Maybe let's build something quickly and then reiterate it or iterate it, right? But in order to not show yourself as vulnerable, or just to assure that you are Mr. Right, what you do is get something done and then get it changed time and again. Rather, it's important that you provide clarity to the team that how you want it to get done. Um, uh, Another useful tip for you as a leader, these days you have chat gpt and different ai based tools at your disposal. You can always get a first level feedback, or brainstorm some initial ideas using that as well, and then share that these are the lines on which I am expecting will do something, and maybe have a look and make changes accordingly, or do it accordingly. So that also you can do. Trust over approvals. So you should trust your team members. That will empower decision making without excessive approval layers. There should not be the case that anything and everything has to go through your approval, because then you are stuck with day to day mundane tasks. You are not able to give time to things that are strategic, that actually mean something. So you won't be able to devote time to those things, or think better, or review the work that is getting done. So you should trust them and you should empower them. Efficient decision making, less time chasing, that leads to spend more time on effective decisions and results. I mean, instead of spending 2 hours on approving each and every bill that without your sign no payment would be made, If you made a rule that, let's say, anything below 500 could be done directly, and maybe after the week or after the month, I'll just have a quick look if something doesn't make sense to me. So you would, and that there might be very little chance that anything would still go wrong there. But that will free up, let's say you would still have to spend one day in a week to look at the data, but that would spend 1 hour every day for 6 days in a week, and that time you can spend on meeting clients, building something new, thinking about what should we do better for the practice, right? Or in our job, how we can contribute better to the organization, how we can grow, how we can grow faster. So then you would get time to think about those things. You can spend time on your own learning, on your own development, rather than sticking with the petty things. Career capital and influence. So all the service led leaders, they earn trust by mediating conflict and guiding decisions effectively. Now, when we say mediating conflict, a true leader has this quality wherein uh, they would be considered as impartial because they are great listeners and people respect them. They are able to mediate conflicts, right? Conflicts between teams, because there is a trust amongst the team members that whatever I'll take to my leader, I am assured that the leader would be impartial, unbiased, listen very clearly to what I have to say, and then whatever they'll provide, the resolution that they'll provide will be objective. So the leader is never into the fault finding mode. They give a they give time, they listen patiently, and then they share their observations. During that, they are also clarifying their understanding if they've understood something correctly or incorrectly, and then guiding the decisions. So they are also not imposing decisions, they would take you there. So I would ask you, maybe after this session, read about coaching as well. How to, what is coaching? How is it done? I'm not talking about classes, or when I say coaching, coaching means either you are a mentor tells you that what you need to do or what you should do. Rather, coach, mentor also tell what you should do, but they are not essentially telling that this has to be done. Um, they are empowering and helping the mentee to grow. A coach is helping guide the decision effectively. So the coach, if you step into the shoes of a coach, the coach would just ask questions, then clarify certain things, ask follow up questions, and they will guide you towards the decisions and help you clear your mind and think clearly. So that kind of leader um, uh, is essentially able to bring the best out of the people, because if me as a third party will tell you that this is something that you need to do, then you might or might not do it, but the conviction rate would be lower. But if something came from your own mind, I just guided you towards that direction, and now you yourself get a thought that, hey, if I'll do this, then I think it will make more sense. And right now, I am telling you that servant leadership is something which makes sense. But if it came from your own mind through the coaching session, that now you think that, yeah, maybe this is the way that I should try, and it will help me deliver better results, then the adoption rate would be higher, the conviction would be higher. Safe escalation point. They serve as a reliable point for escalating issues safely and efficiently in organizations. Now, here I would like to share a story. I had a manager in my prior organization, and that person was exactly the kind of leader, the servant leader that I'm talking about. And I had no problem whatsoever in sharing whatever issues I had, because First, I had trust in him, and I knew whatever I'm communicating will stay with him, and he will not judge me, and our discussion will not have any implication on his future decision for my promotion, incentive, how he thinks about me, etc., etc. And I can trust him to uh, build things and then um, be vulnerable and share what I have to share with him. Now, because of that, I was able, when, let's say, you're managing your family and your career, and there comes a time when you will have to prioritize either of these two. So sometimes you prioritize your family, sometimes you prioritize your work, but there comes a time when it is very difficult for you to work. And that kind of time came in my life. I reached out to my manager saying that maybe I won't be able to do justice to my work, and this month I am not able to focus. There are multiple things going on at home on which I need to pay attention. And he listened to me patiently, shared his own feeling, his past experience, and we spoke. It felt nice, and uh, and it was a safe space, and I felt much more relaxed. Now, even for things that are related to work, if something has gone wrong, sometimes it gets identified at a much later stage, because there's a fear amongst the employees that if this comes into the knowledge of leader, um, they might get fired, or there would be consequences. But if you are a safe space for your team, then you will get early warning signals, and you would be able to do course correction much more efficiently. Cross-functional partners, they become preferred partner across department, facilitating collaboration and teamwork. If you are a servant leader, then people will like you. They would want to do work with you. They know that you are not going to take away their credit. You are going to support them, uh, help them learn and help them grow. So then, for these kind of leaders, it's very easy, and they are the preferred partners for any cross-functional initiative. Compounded influence, their influence grows steadily, even without a formal title change or promotion. Even if they are at the same level, their influence would go on increasing, because influence doesn't come from position. I mean, there is some element of position, but essentially you would be influencing others, and others will get more influenced only when they trust you more or respect you more, and they get inspired by you. Personal sustainability and load optimization. Now this we've touched upon briefly, but let's talk about it in more detail. Now, being a servant leader, it is reducing your emotional exhaustion. Why? Because now you are not too much into the work. You give time for everything in your life, right? It Lowering your emotional exhaustion will help you maintain mental clarity and improve overall well-being in leadership roles. It minimizes the ego conflict, and the lesser ego-driven conflicts are there, then there is better teamwork, and workplace relationships are also healthier. Reducing decision fatigue, cutting down decision fatigue, because you are not taking too many decisions in a day. How Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Mukesh Ambani would operate, they would not try and do multiple things in a day. They what they strive to do is make one or two high quality decisions in a day. So that is in a nutshell what they are focusing upon. So there's less fatigue, so they can increase their focus and effectiveness. Leadership load optimization. Service is leadership load optimization. It is balancing your responsibility without self sacrifice. Now, you are not sacrificing yourself, because you are investing time in building the leaders for the future. They also would cascade these learnings into their teams further. So now you are essentially creating a sustainable organization, and it is also sustainable for you in the long run. You would be able to work for many more years without burnout. Okay, finally, we've come to the service framework. So, how servant leadership looks like. What is the service framework? So, words you see in green, they are the first words for the acronym. So, S, stand for your team. A leader who is standing for the team by fostering collaboration and mutual support in all the tasks and challenges. So, you should be striving to be that leader, and you should be standing for the team. Now, here, sometimes what happens if something has gone off. Um, for example, you might have there's a story which a late Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam used to tell. It was that when there was a missile launch, and uh, at that time there was a failure, so that launch failed. Now the boss of their organization at that time, um, ISRO or DRDO, boss, he went ahead and attended the press conference saying that it is my failure, and we were not able to get it done. But when the time came and the next time when the launch was successful, I think it was Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. So when the launch was successful, he went ahead and um, he sent Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam to get all the credit, and then attend the press conference. So he stood by his team in the difficult time, and then he promoted the team when there was opportunity to get the mm, garlands or get the praises. Enable, don't execute. Now, your single most important job is not to execute. You are not expected to execute. You are not hired to execute. As a partner, as a proprietor, as a managing partner, your job is not to execute. Your job is to enable others, and so that they feel empowered, and you are empowering them and you are developing their capabilities so that they can take the task head on. Your job is to enable them, and to be able to do that, remove friction relentlessly. Whatever obstacles come in their way, be proactive, identify obstacles, try your best to remove them, streamline the processes to improve the efficiency and increase the teamwork. Voice with clarity, not authority. Do not be authoritative that this is how it has to be done or this is how it should be done. Now, share clarity, and uh, have respect in your tone when you are sharing your ideas, rather than saying I know it all, I know this is how this should be done, so hence I am saying. You should explain why about your decision, and with clear mind you should be sharing your thoughts. Invest in alignment before action. Invest more time in aligning the goals, in aligning the expectation before taking any action, to ensure unity and to ensure the direction. Even for change management, invest time in alignment. Conduct conflict with composure. So, in service, C means conduct your conflict with composure. Do not get overwhelmed with the emotions. Um, Conduct the conflict to handle disagreement constructively and while maintaining the relationships. Earn trust through consistency. Earn trust. Your behavior should be consistent and reliable in all the interactions and commitment. And consistency is one element which I feel is a very strong leadership trait. Otherwise, what the follower or your team members or employees would feel is that no matter how good work I do, it is still depending on your mood. You might like it, you might not like it, You might accept it, you might reject it, you might let the mistake go away, or you might make it an issue and scold me forever. So if you have behaved differently in different scenarios without explaining why you are acting in that manner at a later stage, then you are not consistent. And if that behavior is not consistent, then there is less reliability in interaction and commitment. For these kind of people, the others would always hesitate in referring them because they are not sure that how would you react if one or other situation takes place. Okay, now we'll talk in more detail about uh, every element in the service framework. Just give me a second. So when we talk about standing for the team, what does it mean? Team protection importance. Teams stop taking ownership if they don't feel protected by their leader. If you look at this image, so leader at the front is if I my leader, I will ownership, make mistake. I may not be able to make any mistake and go ahead. So if that kind of leader is not there, leader is always quick on shifting the blame to the team, then they will not feel protected. Leadership actions. Effective leader take pressure upward, own failures publicly, and correct issues privately. This is exactly what we've spoken about a while back. Failure pattern. Claiming neutrality during unfairness undermines leadership and harms team trust. Now, if there is unfairness, now in that situation, if the leader is not taking a stand, then that is undermining their leadership and it is harming the trust. So the servant leader is not always the goody goody one who is always saying good things, that yes, this is also okay, that is also okay, you are doing great, and you're not tough on anyone. So you cannot be neutral. There's a saying in Hindi that uh, or there's a saying, I'll say it in English, that there are no bystanders uh, in the dharm yudh. So you would have to take stand. And reframing blame, shifting from individual blame to systemic break, helps retain trust and continue execution. Your endeavor should never be to identify that whose fault was it or find a scapegoat. Now, if you move the individual blame to systemic breakdown, you go into okay, this is what bad has happened. Now we need to what happened. What could we have done differently? What as an organization should we do to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future? Where are we lacking? Right? If the discussion is constructive and you want to improve, you want to identify why we made the mistake so that we won't make it again. Now that is reframing blame. Now you're not putting blame on anybody. And that kind of ecosystem, that kind of environment is an enabling one. Now, just while we are speaking about this, I mean, this is what you as a leader would be should be doing for the team. But just think if you had a kind of boss or manager or principal who is fighting for you, protecting you, he's owning the failures, correcting issues privately, taking all the pressures that is coming from the top, right? Um, if something wrong has happened, he will take the charge, and he'll hold people accountable. He's not putting blame on any individual, and he's shifting it to systemic breakdown, and he's trying and improve the system rather than putting blame on one person. So that kind of leader, I think everybody would die to work for, right? This is how great leaders build great followers, because one, they are walking the talk, so they inspire, and they're empathetic, they're compassionate, they want to help. So um, it comes naturally to them. They are just I mean, their sole purpose is not to just get applauses for themselves, but rather to build people who can really contribute towards betterment of the organization. What does E means? Enable, don't execute. Leader solving problem directly, it can create bottleneck and weaken the team ownership over time. With time, team would feel that okay, why do we need to put in so much efforts? Because at the end of the day, the leader is going to do everything himself or herself. Common finance challenges. Over involvement leads to fixing spreadsheets, but then you are not doing deeper thinking. You haven't taken ownership because there's no time. You are just busy in crunching numbers because you're over involved in anything, which is why even in audits, in assurance, we have sample size, right? We know what is, even for a control, what is a key control, what is a non-key control, so that we won't spend much time on what doesn't really have any major impact, right? Shift in leadership approach, transition from leader who is executing task to enabling the teams with frameworks for decision making. You would have to make this kind of shift. And decision rights tool, so it is a practical tool to clarify who owns the decision and empower execution. So you wouldn't have to, I mean, let's say you assign a certain responsibility to a set of people. Now then you would have to make this metric, that what all decisions are required to be taken and what all rights are there. So if a person has to take more decisions but has less right, then that person will not be able to get the job done. So you will have to make sure that the kind of decision the person is taking versus the rights he have are commensurating, they are matching. In order to save the time of the leader, it should not be the case that the decision is very nominal, but still for that we are um, holding the leader accountable. Removing friction relentlessly. So identify the source of friction. Common obstacles could be ambiguous ownership, who actually is the owner, conflicting KPI, legacy processes which are slowing the progress. Legacy process means this is how it used to be done since God was a child. I mean, this is how we do it. So those kind of legacy processes which are slowing the progress, because you have deployed systems, but then the base data is from some legacy system which is slowing down everything. Cross-functional collaboration. Leader resolve issues by redesigning processes to break the loops between departments like sales, credit, legal. Use friction log. Tracking recurring slowdown will help you identify tolerated obstacles and who all benefit from them to remove the friction. They are making sure that what all, if some slowdown is recurring, it happens every month, every 2 months, then it friction log help us identify uh, what are obstacles we were able to absorb and manage, and who will benefit if the obstacles are removed or friction is removed. So in service, S for stand for your team, that we have covered. E is enable, don't execute. R is remove frictional. And now we have came to V, voice with clarity and not authority. In matrix environment, clear communication is more effective than asserting hierarchy or authority. If I'll say I'll the boss, you'll have to do it this way, and this is how things get done in my organization, then that might not be the best way to communicate, especially with today's generation. So you will have to explain that why are you doing things, why are you doing a certain thing. What all common communication traps are there? Politeness can be used to create ambiguity, where exerting authority may cause resistance among team members. So, exerting authority. Okay. If I'm too polite as a leader, if I'm not able to convey that this is what I need, this is why it is important, this is why it matters, that is the timeline. If I'm not clearly communicating and I'm just being too ambiguous while exerting authority, it may cause resistance among team members. Team members might feel that uh, this person is too soft for the job. So you'll have to be very clear that I am approachable, but I am not too soft or too hard on anyone. I am just more objective and want to help you learn and grow. Explain the rationale behind policy is more effective than just stating as per policy statement, right? You cannot just dictate everybody that as per policies this is how it should be done. Even when we do audits and we share observations with our with a company, they would come and say that, hey, this is what you have sent as per. So this doesn't really uh, help a lot if we are just saying that this is the policy, this is the company policy, and this is how it needs to be done. If you explain the why, then it reduces friction to a large scale. Three-line clarity rule: use three lines to convey decision, your rationale, what is the decision, why are you doing it, and what will happen once this is done, the consequences of delay, for a clear or impactful communication. You would have to explain that, let's say we decide to do it by 15th of Jan. Why? Because uh, what is needed, why it is needed, and then consequence of delay. If we extend it beyond 15th of Jan, let's say I say something, then for that, what all, maybe I need to pay liquidated damages, maybe my image would suffer. So we need to explain what are the consequences of delay. So we've covered serve, now ICE. These are pending. I is invest in alignment before action. A lot of people, the moment they get the job, they straight away go into execution mode. They are called activators. They just want to start things. But common symptom of alignment future include, if you are seeing that in your organization, it is very common and consistently that the deliveries are missed. You are not able to achieve your target. And there is a lack of emergency in the team. Almost always. That is the case because there is no alignment before action. You've just jumped on into the task immediately. Cross functional misalignment. Every department will have their own agenda. To be able to influence them, then you would have to align with everyone and bring everyone on the same page. Different department pulling in conflicting directions cause corrective out samples to fail despite individual correct. Alignment canvas tool. Use an alignment canvas tool to clarify objective, what all are the non-negotiables for the engagement, what all trade-offs are there, and important team coordination before your action. Sorry, improving team coordination before action. See, conduct conflict with composure. Now, this is where you as a leader would shine if you are a service or servant leader. The task conflict, that this is how it should be done, if somebody is feeling that this is the right way and somebody else is saying that there's another way which they feel is the right one, that kind of conflict is healthy because that is fostering growth, enabling learning and development for the team. While ego conflict is toxic, that I am better or the other person is better, and what I say has to be done, and why are they listening to other people views. So that kind of conflict is toxic and that is damaging to the teams as well. So we need to ensure that we are right kind of conflict is something that we are promoting. Effective leaders, they distinguish between conflict type and addressed issues with issues suppressing disagreement. So, an effective leader will distinguish between conflict type, whether it is a task conflict or is it a ego conflict, and address the issue without suppressing his or her argument. Earn trust through consistency. First is predictability. Like we discussed, if a leader, every time I know that the outcome will be predictable, then I would be very quick in be vulnerable. I would be identifying how things happen, what things are happening. So it creates predictability and your consistent action. Trust is built on predictable and consistent action, and it is not like it is done just in the first instance, or it doesn't build on chemistry. It is built on predictability. What else trust killers are there? Surprise escalation. If you have written anything without informing others, I mean, let's say you have written an escalation mail without informing somebody, then that is a trust killer. Selective transparency. We inform to some people, haven't informed to others. That also is transparency. Inconsistent standards. If they are there, they undermine trust. What all tools are there to untrust? Use trust deposit. Use public credit, private correction. Okay, when we talk about public credit, giving credit in public, giving feedback in private, and consistent decision to build trust. You would also have to make a decision to build trust. Once you've selected somebody, you've invested in their learning and development, then after that, when they start executing, you should give them room for allowing some errors, and then uh, your consistent decision will help to build the trust. Now, here are a few tools for leaders which can help you become a servant leader. Shield test leadership. Leaders should protect and stand up for the teams to build trust and confidence. This we've also spoken about in S for the service framework. Decision right matrix. You should be able to, or you should clarify that who has the authority to make decisions, improve accountability and efficiency. You can also document it somewhere so that for a future it could be referenced as well. Three line clarity rule. Communicate complex ideas clearly into three lines to ensure everyone is understanding the agreement and everyone is aligned as well. Fourth one is first intent language. Expressing intent first, that what I want to do, why I wanted to do before what I wanted to do. If I am saying sharing my intent first, it will promote predictability and fairness in both the controls. Sorry, it will build predictability and fairness instead of building the controls in the first place. So here's a scorecard for leader. You should identify where are you over controlling, and you should limit and you are limiting teams autonomy. And then you should identify those areas to be able to empower them. So take some time and reflect that what all areas are there where you are maybe over controlling and you are limiting your team. Discomfort avoidance. Recognize area where you are avoiding discomfort, right? Uh, and you can promote growth and effective decision making. So you should be inviting discomfort, right? In some instances, that okay, maybe this time around I should spend some time in helping this person learn this, so that I won't have to spend this much time again and again, right? Identify bottlenecks. You as a leader, what all areas are there where you as a leader can act as a bottleneck? Where are the areas where you are stopping the progress of the organization, and how you can improve the workflow and team efficiency? Are there things for which team waits for you for hours, and because of that their work gets stalled? What all areas are there? Try to identify them. So after the webinar, I know you won't have much time to be able to uh, think through this. I would say that maybe let's just use clock. Spend 5 minutes and do a reflection of yourself for these three areas. So first one, see where you are controlling more than you should be controlling and where you are limiting your team's autonomy. Second, identify where you are avoiding any sort of discomfort and that is restricting the growth and that is restricting effective decision making. And thirdly, identify which areas are there where you are acting as a bottleneck yourself, and and think how you can remove that bottleneck to improve workflow and team efficiency. So let's start 5 minutes from now. Just spend some 5 minutes and think through these areas and write it down in the notebook that you have with yourself. While you are thinking about it, think from the perspective that uh, have you been a shield for the team? Have you protected and stood up for them? Have you clearly documented that who has the authority to make the decisions, what kind of decisions? Is it documented? Is it communicated to everyone? Think through that. Are you communicating complex ideas into three lines very clearly to ensure that there is understanding and alignment? Are you communicating clearly to the team before, um, rather than asking them to do rework? Are you using intent first language? You expressing your intent to promote predictability and fairness rather than control? Do you clarify why you are saying or why are you doing something? uh, are you explaining why behind it? Maybe this could act as a food for thought for you to be able to fill up these areas where you are over controlling, avoiding the discomfort, or acting as a bottleneck. Think through. We have 4 minutes more for this exercise. Just be honest with yourself. You won't have to, tell anyone for that matter. I would like if you put something in chat as well during the session, after the session. I mean, after 145, we'll be discussing your comments only, which are there in the chat or your questions. So feel free to put something there also if you want. But think through these areas. Am I over controlling? Am I avoiding discomfort? Have I been acting as a bottleneck? Have I stood up for the team or have I blamed them? Do I praise publicly and criticize privately, or do I do the opposite? Do I clarify what I want rather than asking for rework time and again? Am I the safe space for my team? Can they rely on me? Can they come to me without feeling judged or without having to worry about the consequences? Do I act, do I operate with ego rather than acting as an enabler? Am I spending time in creating leaders for the future, or am I doing everything myself? Do I feel fatigued? Do I get time to think for high quality decisions or strategic decisions? Invest time in my learning and development rather than doing things, doing approvals, doing everything on my own, even such kind of things which could have been easily managed by others as well. Just think from this service framework, what all things are you already doing and what all you are missing? What do you need to do? Do I stand up for the team? Do I enable or do I execute? Am I the one who's executing everything or am I enabling people? Am I removing friction relentlessly? Do I voice with clarity or do I say that this is what needs to be done this and this is how it has to be done? Do I operate with authority? Am I investing in alignment? Am I aligning goals? Am I sharing my expectations before asking the team to act? Are there cases where multiple times things are not getting done as per my expectation? Is that because the team is underdeveloped, or is it because I am not clarifying the things? Maybe I am not as good in clarifying things as I think I am. Whenever conflict happens, disagreement happens, what do I do? Do I take sides? Do I become biased? Or am I listening to things very calmly, objectively, provide perspective to people and guide them through effective conflict resolution? Am I consistent in my behavior? Or are things which are outside my control impacting on how I am thinking, what I am doing, how I'm interacting with others? If a client upset me, do I scold my employees? Okay. I believe you have spent some time, thought about these points, made notes. Maybe this helped you identify that what are the few things that I can do or you can do to be able to be a servant leader. Okay, let's reframe service. Let's understand service in a different manner from how it used to be thought and what kind of impact it makes on the teams, right? Service is an investment. It helps you avoid a recurring problem. It is not a one time gift or a favor. You do not do favor to somebody when you act as a servant leader. You are helping yourself because this is an investment. This would avoid a recurring problem. You are creating the leaders for the future. These people can help your organization become much bigger than what you think it could become. Service led leaders reduce the risk. You have increased influence. Now you are an inspiration for your team and not just somebody uh, who is their employer only. It will help you. This kind of leadership will help you scale your impact effectively. You could create the impact that you want. A very simple example, for a servant leader it would not be so difficult to hire quality talent. You will get a lot of referrals also, that even from client, that this is the person whose team is very dedicated and they do a great job. So it has its own benefit, right? Because your employees are also committed to what you are doing. Designing execution environment, you would be able to create environment where successful execution is natural and inevitable. It is not forced. You are creating an environment where people want to come to work, where they feel valued, where they want to contribute and do something good. There's a race not to get the most power, but the race is to be able to contribute in the best possible manner towards the organization. They have a shared commitment towards your success, because if the organization succeed, they also feel that uh, they have done their part. There is collaboration amongst the team. So we've discussed in today's session that service-led leadership is essential, especially in complex or matrix organization. But I would say it is essential in every organization in order to foster collaboration, to bring in efficiency. Utilizing the service framework that we've discussed, it helps leaders to empower team and streamline the processes effectively, achieving sustained success. If you want success to be a habit, if you want to consistently deliver, leveraging the leadership tools will help you reduce friction and drive long term organizational success, and would help you scale your business and your organization. Now, what I also would encourage you all is, let me go to this slide. Two slides I would say maybe you can, if you want, take screenshots of, right? So this service framework, maybe you can take screenshot. If you think that this is relevant, you can keep a poster of this in your office, in your cabin, at your desk, so that you're consistently reminding yourself that, am I a servant leader? Am I doing this? Because as a leader, this is your job. Your job is to invest in people, is to build people, and they will help you uh, grow faster and scale faster. So you can take a screenshot of this slide, as I think this would summarize or whatever we have discussed today on how to approach or how to go about servant leadership. Okay, with that, I think we can move towards Q&A. Uh, uh, if we have any questions, any comments, Maybe we can move towards that and discuss that. Okay. In the meantime, till you share your comments or your inputs, uh, let me let me also share a story of the servant leadership. I've briefly touched upon during the session as well. I mean, earlier as well, about this manager whom I was talking about. Now, he is the person about whom, I mean, the kind of influence he has made in my life, both personally and professionally. Uh, I haven't met him in person maybe more than 3 or 4 times, because he lives in Singapore. I live in India, but he makes me feel hurt at times. If me, or when, even when I see him interacting with others, if somebody has shared a comment, and that comment, maybe even I found that this comment doesn't look very relevant or realistic, but he was such a good communicator. And when I say communicator, he was such a great listener. He used to paraphrase what the other person is saying, try and clarify intent, so the other person feels heard, valued, that my opinion matters. And then, because of the discussion, something meaningful also used to come out. So the person felt that, okay, I have contributed also. And then that led them, that gave them the space to be able to think on how we can improve further and constantly strive for it. Whatever changes were there, he was open to feedback. He was open to be vulnerable. If something was new, he himself would go out and say that this is something that I'm trying to learn, I'm trying to implement, and I'm yet to perfect it, but I'm on the journey to do that. Right? He was being vulnerable wherever it was required. So that made him human. People could connect with him. He used to share stories with us, so that we could relate with issues. If something goes wrong, he was the first person who would go ahead and take the blame and say that, maybe let me handle the situation, let me speak to other people, let me try and find a solution. And I also, I mean, very strongly believe that the single most essential job of a leader is to be able to support you and give you the backing. Because if that is there, um, then the employee would be striving. I mean, they would not hesitate in giving their best. So that kind of leader, if you strive to become, then you are able to add massive value, not just to yourself, but to a lot of individuals whose life you will touch. And whether or not they are working under you, with you, they will remember you, they will follow your footsteps, and and you'll keep on inspiring them uh, for the time to come. So, l- servant leader is definitely one who is not just helping himself. A servant leader is also helping the organization, the country, the world at large to be a better place. And I think that is, I mean, we always strive to be the better human, and servant leadership is the leadership style which is designed for the better human. Okay, I hope we have some comments or questions. Maybe we can discuss those. Or Bhavi ma'am, anything you want to touch upon? Any comments you have?
Yes, just wait for a minute because we are waiting for some questions to come up. since you
Sure.
have just finished up your session. So for a minute, we can wait. I think there are some questions coming up
For
on
sure.
the chat box.
Sure.
So there is one question I would like to post up.
Mhm.
Are you seeing that same on the chat box that is being pasted over there?
No, ma'am. Actually, I don't have access to chat box.
Okay, no problem. I'll just give you that question.
Okay.
So the question is how to efficiently execute consolidation of financial statements when there are three, four subsidiaries are audited by different CAs.
Okay. Now, on consolidation, I mean, because that is not a topic of the session, I would not speak much upon, but on how to work with different chartered accountants or different individuals who are your peers. I think that is the core subject which
Yes.
the answer is requested for. So essentially, you should have a shared goal, and uh, we should try and understand. You should try and understand that am I operating from ego or what is my end goal, and are all the people who are engaged in that activity aligned on the same goal or not. So your first job should be to clarify that what do we want to achieve, then also clarify the timeline by when we want to do that. And about communication, like we were speaking about earlier on, you need to understand the communication has to be two way, so you will have to keep an open ear to what feedback others have, what their fears are, what their challenges are, and then discuss amongst yourself that how you can resolve that. So you should be able to create that forum wherein everyone, all three people can discuss, share their concerns, and find out mutual solutions. So if it is transparent and open two-way communication, and you have aligned on what your goals are, what the outcomes are, what the timelines are, you have set up the review and check-in process to do course correction, I think then you would be able to meet your goal.
Thank you, sir. You have given a good reply to the question. One more is posted, so I would like to read that question too for you. I am a frontline manager facing challenge that my team members always wait for me to provide order, almost never taking full ownership. I have to chase them quite often. My director is more like he does not want to become bad, so he pushes me while not giving me freedom to do the things my way as well. Can you guide me on this?
Okay. This is a very common problem. I mean, you would see people who have a team to manage, and then they have a manager, uh, and now you become the sandwich. I mean, this is a sandwich situation that you get stuck in. So there's pressure from upwards, and then there's pressure from downward because your team is not able to uh, act upon. I was in a similar situation when I was a lead in Nokia and in the internal audit team. Now I was working with auditors who were from different countries, and the expectation from manager for execute getting that audit executed was also different. Now, for those kind of scenarios, you would have to manage both the ways. Now, you would need to firstly to your team clarify that what you want, how you want them to function, hold them accountable. In person, you can always share feedback while sharing your intent that this is what I expected from you, this is what I'm not aligned with, and maybe we can do things differently. Always speak from the perspective that you don't want to put blame on your team, so that they are in the safe space, and then you think about what we can do to correct it in the future. So I never approach my team saying that this is what you have done wrong, you shouldn't have done this or that. I always go out to them and ask them, okay, this is what you have done, I think the results are not what we have expected. Now you propose what should we do to do the course correction. Similarly, if you want them to take more ownership, you can go ahead and go into a more uh, discussion mode and ask them that this is the problem that I'm seeing and I want you to provide a solution. So become a coach rather than become a manager, and try and get the solution from them, so that they also have the commitment in the process. So there's a coaching, there are different frameworks for coaching. Study a bit about them and try and implement that with your team. Now with the manager, what I used to do, I also used to push them back strongly if I feel that something is not right. The first point, I mean, in service, we saw stand up for the team. So you should be standing up for the team. And when the team sees that you are the one who is taking a stand, they would always, I mean, you will get respect in their eyes. So it will get addressed automatically. And then you would not become a pushover for your manager. You would be able to emphasize that this is what I can get it done, these are the timelines within which I can get it done. Now you tell me, if you've given me 10 work, what I need to prioritize. So you need to be clear headed. You, if you think too much is coming from the top, you need to prioritize and you need to push back and you need to communicate clearly. It's not always about, even your manager might not be thinking that they need to get everything done from you. You just need to clearly communicate to them as well. So maybe just have a thought about that, that how I can clearly express my concerns and discuss with my manager as well. How you can have fruitful discussion with your manager also.
So, Gaurav, basically, you are explaining the situation which is much practically faced by, I think, everybody
Yeah.
in the hierarchy. You know that always the upper hierarchy pushes the middle person who is in the thing. They want to get the goals achieved, but ultimately they don't want to come in the picture. And
Hmm.
when there is a fiery situation, they will fire up the second person in the line in the hierarchy, you know, and he will always be a sandwiched person. You are very
Yeah.
true, because everybody in the job may be facing up such situation, and you know, at sometimes this situation leads to stressful condition for that middle person who
Hmm.
is facing from upside. Even he is frustrated because his downline is not working. Somewhere he is more attached to the downline because 24 hours he is working with them, and he wants to get the results
Yeah.
overtime to them. So this is basically a very crux situation for the middleman. You know, he needs to go for our other webcast to level down our their stresses and all.
Yeah.
So, on behalf of Gauravji, I would like to request all that people who are asking this question and who are facing such situations. We have a lot of webcasts from Professional Enrichment Committee, ICAI, how to reduce your stress level when you are facing such situations. So, thank you, sir, for your replies on these questions. From membership number 104252, Mr. CA Jigar Kuvadia, he has given you a small note. Dear Gaurav, it is a very deep knowledge, excellent on your subject you have provided. Thanks for educating us. Truly appreciate to the whole session that has been conducted. And he has also requested that your PPT could be emailed. So I will forward this request, CA Jigar, on behalf of you to the technical team, and whatever we can do best for you will be done for the whole participants of this webcast. So, any further questions, participants, you can raise up in next 2 minutes, or else we would go for winding up of this session. So, Gauravji, I think we will wait for 2 minutes if anybody wants to post more questions. Otherwise, we will go for the winding up of this webcast very
Sure.
soon. So, Gauravji, when we were conducting other webcast, at that time, uh, we always discuss few things that people face when they are into their jobs, and
Hmm.
especially the CAs, you know, because we are not that much management trained people.
Yeah.
We are lacking some part of the management skills, since we are more on the financial and technical aspects of our
Hmm.
chartered accountancy, and
Yeah.
sometimes we lack this management skills. But you know, our institute is bringing up so many different courses, so many different webcasts and practical training, so that sometimes we come up to that level of MBAs. But nowadays the work is such, the pace of work and technology is so that stress is bound to come for the people who
Yes.
are working on the different scenarios, you know, in each and every industry. I think, what do you think about that?
I totally agree, ma'am. Stress is something which is which has become an essential part of our being, I would say.
Yeah.
And some element of it, I would say, even is healthy,
Yeah.
because a little bit of stress keeps us engaged and pushes us slightly to get the job done. But then, yes, definitely excessive stress in excess leads to um, health problems. And I truly acknowledge what you've said. In my team also, when I go into office, half of the team members in finance, one person is always on leave in our team because of some or the other physical issue. Either somebody has cervical or neck pain, and all that is happening because of stress.
Very true.
uh, or somebody else is ill, and we jokingly in our office say that we should do some havan or something for the well-being of the team, because instead of having team lunches, because stress has become so prominent in our day-to-day working. And we would have to then because of which this work-life balance, mental well-being, these topics have become so much more important in today's day and age. And I think a biggest cause of stress is this little device in our hands also.
Yeah. This is, now had become an essential part of everyday's life. Firstly, people used to get up on the bed and think something. Now, the first thing that goes is our hand to the mobile, when we get up
Yeah.
from the bed. It is for
Yes.
everybody. So,
Yes. Yes.
Gauravji, there are no more further questions, so we can go for the winding up of this session. Like, it was really a honor to be a moderator of your session, and you had given a wonderful explanation on the most important topic of nowadays that we are facing: leading with service, empowering teams, and navigating cross-functional challenges. Every industry is facing so much of challenges, and you had very well explained the things. You have broken down the things into much practical aspects of yours, and you have explained that how you need to manage the things. So it was a delightful experience with you. And for so much of time, with so much of energy, you spoke continuously on the topic, which shows that you have really faced up these things in your life. And that's why it is, the flawless things come up on the speech. It's not like something we are doing it on the books. It is on the mind, it comes up. That
Yeah.
flavor was seen in your speech, which really has been admired. And this is very nice that somebody has also praised up that you're given a very nice comments on few things. So it's a great honor to us. And we are thankful to the Professional Enrichment Committee, ICAI, for organizing such webcasts for the benefit of the participants, members, students, whosoever are attending this session today. We would also like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our speaker, CA Gaurav Goelji, who has given us a beautiful session, and a wide round of applause for him. Thanks to the Professional Enrichment Committee for bringing such sessions, and our speaker today on board for giving us an enrichment on this knowledge. I also thank all my stakeholders, my participants, my all those people who have spent 2 hours on the webcast. And the demand of such type of webcast is increasing, and hence we are trying to bring such series more and more. I would like to extend my thanks to Dr. Sambit Kumar Mishra ji, his team, and all the technical people who were engaged in bringing this webcast a very nice and a flawless thing, that they have given us the support. So I would like to thank each and everyone who is present here, making this webcast a memorable one. Today, as on the eve of this Merry Christmas, I wish you all a very nice year ahead. Merry Christmas to all the participants, and looking forward for the new session again in the coming days. Signing off as Sia Bhavi Thakkar, wishing you all a Merry Christmas and a happy day ahead. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank